Okay, hear me out on this. This is a bit of a theory, but with the evidence we've been presented so far, there's too much not. There's too much to say it's not that, or it's not this. So I don't think Professor Clark is in any way involved with the curse. Number one, he would he he would be putting he would have been putting innocent people in danger just for the sake of getting back at Luke. Number two, seems like this has been going on for a while, so he would have had to have known at some point Luke Wright would have ended up at Ermengarde Mansion when hit the mic when he summoned her. I can't see that. That completely destroys the theory that Andrew Clark is involved with the reason this spirit is causing this trouble. However, there might be something. He wants revenge for Luke. There might be something I'm missing. I'm gonna be honest. There might be something I am completely missing that puts responsibility on Andrew Clark. The other thing I said was that this ghost was Charlotte Ermengarde. It's not. If you remember at the end of Rebecca's chapter, she saw a news clipping of her burning of the actual Charlotte Ermengarde burning a slave woman that she rescued at the stake for allegedly being a witch. Here's the thing. Luke Wright looks, apparently, according to what we've seen, looks just like Charlotte's fiance. Could be that the slave girl fell in love with Charlotte's fiance. Charlotte didn't like that, so called her a witch and burned her at the stake, and that's why she's pissed. And it's why Hana is pretty much getting the biggest like brunt of it out of everyone, is because Luke Wright looks like the man she fell in love with, and Hana is nothing more than another Charlotte Ermengarde. It's some messed up shit. So that's my theory. We'll know for sure if we get any answers at all. Anyway, welcome back to the letter. This is DJ Gamer Girl signing on. Stuff happened last time. Mainly reminiscing and trying to get a hold of the two other people that are closely involved with this, because there is no way in hell he's going to call Hana and Luke Wright. They wouldn't even believe him. Excuse me. I'm curious as to what problems Luke has had with this woman. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I fling the door open, old chunk of the stone that has been stuck in the pit of my stomach simultaneously unseats itself. There, in the hallway, stands Zack, his hand raised for another knock. Although he's not at his most presentable at the moment, ruffled and drenched with sweat as he is, relief quickly washes over me like a tide. He's still panting when he pushes me aside and heads in. The second his feet crosses the threshold, he scans the place, eyeing what little he can see from the room from the doorway. When he finds none of whatever he's looking for, he turns to me with a questioning look, one that has a hint of panic in it.
You said it was urgent. Did anything happen? Is it Becca? Bella?
Everyone's fine. Well, Becca's not here. She went somewhere this morning and hasn't answered any of my calls yet. but Isabella's...
I'm here, Zach. Morning.
His weight shifts at the same time the stiff line in his shoulder eases, once Isabella walks up to us and welcomes him with a smile. He relaxes then, returns her greeting in kind. As soon as he's let out the breath he's been holding and the tension finally off his body.
So, nothing's wrong? Why'd you call me here for then?
My explanation can wait. He has a lot of explaining to do. The fact that he went to Ansem alone for some godforsaken reason warrants a proper one. Ghost or not, he's already been given a warning. It frustrates me to no end. This might be the plan he imagined the last time we spoke. I guess he's worried about Hana, right? Somehow they become friends, but that's not the issue here. Not when there's a murderous ghost who might go after one of us at any given time. Sure, Zach made it here in one piece, by some dumb luck. He's alright. And this takes one off the list of people I need to worry about. Frankly, as annoyed as I am, I can't just stay angry at him when I look at the situation that way. Hell, if that call didn't connect in the exact minute, there might have been a chance he won't be standing here. This is a blessing in itself. First things first, some things don't need to be discussed. Except when I open my mouth, the only thing that spills from it is my own relief. Despite the rational part of my brain screaming everything wrong about Zach's neat little plan. We've had so many close calls within just a single night. Zach showing up in Isabella's doorstep alive, whole, and unharmed. I might as well take comfort in that while I still can.
You're okay.
You did tell me not to do anything stupid.
Suddenly, the whole room feels too heavy, and all I'm able to do is drop down on the couch. A headache also threatens to burst in the same moment. Or perhaps this is what release from anxiety feels like. Regardless, I reach up a hand to pinch the bridge of my nose, even if it will likely do nothing to alleviate the impending pain.
Christ, you were right there! We have this stupid curse thing going on, and you were right there! You just walked up inside a private property! Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering, and that's the least of it.
I know, Ash. But I can't just leave things as they are. I've got to do something. I know you're not very fond of the Wrights, but they don't deserve it if something bad happens. Hana most of all.
God damn it, Zach, I was worried.
Unexpectedly, he laughs. Not the half-hearted sort he makes when he's awkward or coming up with an excuse. A genuine one. Before my annoyance grows again and I snap at him, though, he suddenly catches me in a headlock. His arms looping around my neck while he grinds his knuckles against my skull. Helpless, I squirm under this grip in protest. Even then, it's hard to do so when you're up against a 6-footer.
Zach!
Aw, he's worried. Why didn't you say so? That cool act ain't gonna fool me anymore.
Let go!
I wanted to see a CG of that. He relents soon enough, though only after he's done ample damage in my hair. I hate it when he does that. But for a few moments there, the tense mood finally lightened up and everything felt like how it used to be before this whole mess began. Makes appreciating little moments like this easier, still.
Seriously, Zach. Why are you even there?
Told you already. I was looking for you.
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter. Sorry. I was really at a dead end.
The logic in it stuns me into silence, to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he's taken before agreeing to go here, and all of my anger from what he's done wanes. Partly, this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't berate him for assuming that, and when I've only left him with vague answers.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any, and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head. Then gradually he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asking for a confirmation. Like my word can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. Can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet. It has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all the flashes fleetingly across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night. But Zach, at BRC, Ashton and I saw...
She never gets to finish that.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out.
Abruptly, my phone rings again, blaring his badly stained ringtone throughout the... If you think it's so bad, then change it, Ash, for God's sake! Both of them pauses, waiting when I pull up to check the caller ID.
It's Becca. I'll tell her to get here as soon as she can. Excuse me.
Without another word, I slip out of the room and answer the call. However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Ashton, are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side makes the line seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet? Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is... related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeaker and step back into Isabella's apartment. I hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying worried looks on their faces. This should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for too long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here. The second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but...
He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole. Alive. Although she seems a bit shaken, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the moment Isabella pulls away from her, she winces. A small reaction. The younger woman doesn't even catch it. She sets a precedent for the careful observation nevertheless. Closer look reveals a much more disheveled reveals a much more disheveled look than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places that it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more on her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeable once Isabella leads her into the room. It all spouts a hat full of questions. What exactly happened and how she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination's been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the question. They have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. She tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to halt. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time, their eyes searching mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption. Or the fact that someone has brought it to light. But that someone also has to make sure.
You okay? You're limping.
As expected, she tries to hide it. This time when she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force. Although she almost stumbles back if Zack had caught her by the elbow. Even with 2 more people shooting her concerned look, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when the other arm's nursing the supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a library? Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room. But only once she spares for Isabella. But the only one she spares for Isabella lingers longer. And in that moment, something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you. Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that? Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits all of us. Dead. Another close call. Another would have. Another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it. At least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Becca I keep calling her Becca even though it says Rebecca. The cold compress she promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put out on the table. All at once, everything we brushed off, carelessly ignored, rudely dismissed, have been laid out for us for close scrutiny. Zack's encounters with the woman and his dreams. Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears. The dread, the fear, the terror she breathes out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon, and eventually night, None of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near to figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. Very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean-Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been any more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from. That's where she came from. Maybe it's just as the professor says.
He did tell me there might be more to this than what I might be thinking.
Yeah. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca had brought with her, and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would they tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. But this might as well mean that what happened in that mansion years ago also equates into all of this. And the letter Isabella found? It's at the heart of it. The why and the how is what we're missing here. If I'm going to go by what Andrew told Zach, the connection between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than what we've initially thought. We won't be able to figure this out without looking into We won't be able to figure this out without looking into the other. Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in or else we'll burn out. I know I will. And it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
The rest of it never makes out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of us are at their feet. The three of them are at their feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room. In the midst of the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be.
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms. Her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension and already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the hall rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm, with the trigger on my finger, provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there, while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it's now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. Glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back toward my companions only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. Everyone, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine, and the back of my head, and the back of my head as it collides against the floor with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening. The foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just an experience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions, despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instinct kicks in then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot from her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grab the wrist of the first person my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, right inside my car. I wasted no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Salem Well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet. Even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. 31st, Monday. When he said that when the chief said the case files need to be put on the chief's desk. Guess that's not gonna happen. Alright, we'll be continuing this in the next episode. Till then, this is the Gamer Girl, signing off. Bye-bye.